You have to pull on the tether to bring the robot up, or actually just pulling it is.
What if you're pulling the leg? That's too bad. I mean, I got to say, I really love this team. This team is awesome, and their spirit, they've really done a great job of building this robot. And once again, this shows you how hard this really is. We saw the typewriter pyramid going first, and I knew it's like, well, it's good to see that go first because they kind of made it look easy, but this is very serious, very difficult challenge.
Well, there's so many points of failure. Even the typewriter repairman, this is their third year. Their first year, they had problems. It was like your first year is the learning. It always seems easy, and when you build it, you're confident it's going to work. When it gets in the water, that's when even the littlest leak causes shorts, knocks out your camera. It only takes one motor, one camera, almost one of anything, and you're dead. You can't do any of the tasks.
That's right. One bad idea, one bad futon, one bad torpedo, one mad Nessie Monster. It's all over.
Well, it appears that the team is going to take out the robot and they're going to have a student run back to their pits and get a charged battery.
Woohoo!
So they are allowed to repair their robot during their mission time.
Is the clock still running?
Yes, it is still running.
Well, tell them to be careful when they're running. We don't want them to slip on the pool and don't hurt themselves.
This is interesting. We can't get a view of it now, but on the end they have a large tube that has all the electronics, and
they've got to unbolt it, right?
Yeah, it looked like somebody was pulling a wrench out and started to unbolt it already as they were moving.
Hold the bolt. Hold on. I'm only going to take two off.
Yeah, you see the wrench on the far end.
Reminds you like when a first tournament when the kids, this is probably what they're experiencing now. The robot is down for something. They got to try to fix something. It's got maybe in first very few minutes they go back to the pits, they tear it apart, and they try and hope they can fix it before the next match. In this case here, there's 35 minutes is a long time, but time flies. I actually believe that time accelerates when you have something like this going on, but this is the best training they could ever hope to have, because when you're out there working, doing research, I've worked with ROVs in the Arctic and the Antarctic, and I've worked with the telecommunication systems. By and large, my challenge is when a comm goes down, you can't do the mission because you're trying to remotely run it. And if you can repair that, any part of it in that window, then you have really learned how to, you know how it works. You know enough about the system to actually modify it in real time, and that's what makes you brilliant. When you can think that fast, you can repair something that fast. That is like the gymnastics of the mind. The other thing, sometimes we'll be dealing with a satellite that will be rising and setting. We're dealing with one of these low orbiting satellites, and we only have so much time to make that connection. If we do it, we're superstars, and when that satellite sets, we've missed our opportunity. So it's real life. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of parallels to what these students are doing right now. They're analogous to what they would experience in the real world trying to do technology challenges.
Actually, to me, this is one of the more exciting parts of the whole mission. This is where you do your real engineering. You have to work together as a team. You can't have two different opinions on what to do. I don't know if they take charge, but they all know what their job is, and they just have to do it efficiently. And if you watch them, they're working together very well.
It is the true definition of team.
This is the time of crisis where it's real easy to start arguing, to give up, or I don't think you're doing it right, or it's your fault. But if you look at them, they're just...
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you can do in a short period of time.
Yeah. I mean, this is real engineering. You've got a problem, you've got a time constraint, you've got...
It's what you call it's called real technician. The text. I mean, the text of the world that people sometimes you don't have to be an engineer to do this. You have to be a really good technician. You have to know the how it's put together. You have to know how to fix it. Yeah. It's very frustrating because this is the time when you can break something. You can actually hurt yourself. So you need to go diligently forward as fast as you can, but still keep in mind you're dealing with high power. Sometimes you're dealing with you get things that can burn you, that can hurt you. Like those tools you're using. I've seen a kid once take himself right in the mouth and break his front tooth right in half because he kind of forget that how much weight and momentum is behind these tools.
Hey Maria, if there's any way without getting in the way, if you can get a microphone a little closer to them, we'd like to hear what they're saying.
Yes,
but don't get in their way.
Okay. One of their lights went out, and they have a leak in their camera, and they just brought their new battery over here, and it's fully charged, and they're trying to take out that leak, fix the light, and put the battery on as fast as they can so they can go back and complete their mission.
It looks like we're watching one of these Indianapolis 500 teams where they bring in the car and they got to pop off tires. And by the way, they've got a problem with the wheels. So they got to pull off the whole wheel assembly and try to pop in and they have to change a transmission, something major, like something you don't always see. But these teams, they have a chance. So let's get back. These scores are low enough that if they get back in the water, they have a chance at doing something really well. If nothing else, It'll be a day long remembered. When they'll tell their grandchildren about the time they went and they looked for Leslie, and Nessie, she messed with their camera. How bad is that?
And they still have time to repair it. They're only 16 minutes into their mission.
I don't know what they're going to do, but lads, lassies, you're doing a good job. We're very quite proud of you over here.
Framework.
And since this is a high school team, they are not allowed an adult.
Oh, that's right. Although adults are allowed to work with them when they're building and designing, and you can get your hands dirty, they aren't allowed to operate it or be on deck when they're...
And that's probably why they do better, because they're allowed to, you know, God knows my dad was in the pit. I would never be able to do anything right, but that's my dad and I.
It's interesting to notice, when I was a kid, you didn't see a lot of women engineers. It was just, you know, women weren't lawyers, doctors,
Well, mainly because
medicine.
women,
But if you look at these teams...
women are smarter than men. And so for many years, we felt, you know, insecure about having women in the workplace because, you know, that it becomes more apparent when there's more women in engineering. And so, you know, it's honestly, I make jokes like this, but, you know, the truth is women and men solve the same problems differently, which is why NASA's investing lots of money into trying to get the, you know, equity of the genders into engineering. Because when we have some of the grand challenges for NASA trying to do things like communicate in a high radiation environment near the sun or near Jupiter, or trying to deal with like real-time artificial intelligence, some of the male sex, because of their culture and how they're raised, are going to solve a problem one way, and women maybe another way, sometimes the same way. But there'll be that one problem that because of our approach we can't solve, or because of their approach they can't solve, but the other gender solves it because of our differences become our strengths. And for that reason, we want to encourage as many women to go into engineering, because it says there are many answers to the same problem, and sometimes the only answer is going to come up from, you know, one side of the fence to the other. Now, my wife and I will argue. I think because we're married, but, you know, but we'll argue about stuff, and, you know, we solve the same problem, but with different routes, and so then we argue about which route was better. It doesn't really matter. If you get the job done, the job's done.
I've got this earphone in my ear, so I listen to the guys in the control room. They're already deciding that they're going to have a team next year out here, but then to run all that stuff, they'll just make robots that run all the video stuff, and you know.
Well, one of the interesting things about this team is that, I don't know if you noticed it, but in the picture there's a guy with a red shirt. He was part of another team participating today, Red Tide. They were in the consolation rounds, and they joined forces and they're working together. And I think he just repaired one of their lights, and they took out the water from their camera, and all that's left to do is put the battery back in.
In the true spirit of FIRST.
Yeah, I love this. I love the cooperation among the teams. I mean, we encourage it, and you say you should do it, but saying it and encouraging is one thing. When they're doing it, and you see this kind of stuff going on.
It's
well,
inspiring.
in the pits, you could go to any team and ask for tools, ask for advice, ask for, can you come over and show me? And they were all great about that. It was more like a car show, you know, like, come on over and look at my Ford, and hey, how'd you do that? And, hey, I need one of those. Oh, well, here, take this.
They start dating before they do their math homework, and then it just goes downhill from there. Remember, always do your math homework before you date or before you go to bed. And necessarily before you eat. You know, I know food's a big motivator also. My favorite thing to do is, like right now, is what I'm going to eat for dinner. I actually have them. They put another sandwich in my room when I go back to. You know, I had a steak for dinner, and then there's a sandwich waiting for me to get back there at like 3 in the morning. It's going to be a BLT. I can't wait. You should have some like background music. Dun, dun.